All right, and we are live with stream of the with some NHL trade deadline talk here, as well as some general NHL action. So yeah, I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to going over this because I mean it's not let's see, I'm trying to type out this here. I'm trying to get all right. Excuse me. All right, I am trying to I'm basically just trying to set up the game here, and also my stream information. All right, there we go. So when we were last playing the game, I was just getting my Wisconsin team going, and we were doing some interesting things. This video is not necessarily going to be focusing as much on my team as it is going to be focusing on trying to discuss the team or the moves that were made in the real life NHL at the end of today's trade deadline, as well as kind of leading into the NHL trade deadline. What we are going to do, though, is we are going to trade a player or two here to try and get better. I want to get rid of one of my draft picks to get some grit. So, let's do that, shall we? And we want to get a quality defenseman. So this might take a second here as we look over things to get rid of. But yeah, I mean, otherwise I'm doing okay. I'm a little tired, so this stream, once I get through the actual trade deadline stuff that I want to talk about, is going to be relatively brief, but I did want to talk about it, so yeah. Alright, who are we going to trade? Because I know who I want to get rid of. Wrong button. I want to trade away one of my top prospects. Oh, I can't trade Capo because he's injured. Well, that experience is pretty useless then. Well, never mind. So it looks like we'll be playing some games after all, and by that I mean we'll play the game, but in actuality I'll just have it simming in the background. There we go. I'll have it simming in the background. Constant demolition crew Hurricanes, so that can go over stuff regarding the trade line. So the first big move that was made for the trade deadline was actually made days ago, but I still want to talk about it because actually pretty huge. The New York Islanders acquired Kyle Palmieri and Travis Zajac from the New Jersey Devils. Now the Devils retained 50% of their salary, but the Devils in return, they got AJ Greer, Mason Joberst, or Jobst, not sure how that's pronounced, and they also got a first-round pick from the New York Islanders, this year's 2021 first-round pick to be specific, and a conditional fourth-round pick that will be a third-round pick if the Islanders make it to the Stanley Cup Finals this year. Both Palmieri and Zajac are first-round picks, or former first-round picks for the New Jersey Devils. So it's definitely an upgrade for them. It's definitely a lot of risk for the New York Islanders to give up 2 AHL players and a first-round pick that could become a third-round pick. I am very, very interested to see where this goes going forward. But right now, and oh wow, nice. Scored without even trying in the game. I'm letting the AI take control. I have my computer set up actually away from my TV, so I'm actually kind of half looking at my TV and half looking at my computer right now. So you'll forgive me for that. But yeah, that was the opening salvo of the trade deadline before the trade deadline started creeping in. And then, after that, it kind of just went off. The Blackhawks and the Panthers, they made a trade for basically a bunch of prospects. The only big name that moved in that trade between the Panthers and the Blackhawks was Brett Connolly went to the Blackhawks, which I think that was mostly a salary thing for the Panthers. The Columbus Blue Jackets on the 9th gave away Riley Nash for a 7th-round pick in 2022. That becomes a 6th-round pick if Nash appears in a quarter of the playoff games that the Leafs play this year, which, considering the Leafs are pretty much playoff-bound, that's definitely an interesting prospect, to say the least. I would say that Riley Nash, though, is not necessarily going to help be as much of a depth forward. It's actually kind of interesting to think that Riley Nash is literally just going to be a depth forward for a Leafs team that has a lot of offensive players, but now the question becomes, do they make the offense actually work? Because that's what's been kind of holding them back the last couple of years, was they paid all the money for the forwards and they couldn't get the production. Well, now that's hopefully changing for them. They got a lot of depth and a lot of potential depth in Alex Galchenyuk, and they've got veterans like Jumbo Joe Thornton and Wayne Simmons who are played well when healthy. So it'll be interesting to see where they go forward. Colorado Avalanche acquired a depth piece from the Detroit Red Wings. I'm actually going to try to skip over anything that isn't quite literally a big name or a big splash. The Buffalo Sabres got a 3rd-round pick for this upcoming draft from the Florida Panthers for Brandon Montour. And you can basically almost say that anybody that gets traded from the Buffalo Sabres this year, it's a godsend, because the poor Buffalo Sabres, they are just not that good. And Montour actually has a lot of pedigree, which actually makes me kind of wonder if Brandon Montour will be who the Panthers who gets picked up from the Panthers from the expansion draft, because I had thought that maybe Montour would have been picked by Seattle, the Seattle Kraken. From the Sabres, he might have been the pick. But now it looks like it's going to probably be somebody else from the Sabres who will be saved to go to Seattle. But Montour does have a is on an expiring UFA deal, so that's definitely going to be interesting. I mean, the guy's been just like terrible in the plus-minus department this year, unfortunately for the Sabres, but nobody's really doing well in that department because, well, it's the Buffalo Sabres. So at this point, I mean, you can't really blame them. The Colorado Avalanche acquired Devin Dubnyk from the San Jose Sharks for Greg Paterno, defenseman of some pedigree, but not necessarily a great pedigree. I mean, he does have a cap hit that fits that pedigree of like $2.25 million. So, I mean, that definitely makes him look worth it. Dubnyk was just so frustrating, though, for the Wild fans, Minnesota Wild fans, and I'm sure he's probably frustrated a lot in San Jose. So now it's kind of like, okay, do you bring him in, and does that fix the Colorado Avalanche? The problem is the Colorado Avalanche have had no goaltending all season long, so, well, I shouldn't say they've had no goaltending. It's been Philip Grubauer, and that's kind of it. He's played amazingly, but you can't exactly, rely on him. The first to be doing it all on his own. So a bit of a money exchange there because of Dubnyk being a bit more cap-heavy. There were a couple of three-team trades this heading into the trade deadlines, and the Columbus Blue Jackets really made it work this year. They traded David Savard to the Tampa Bay Lightning in exchange for retaining 50% of his salary, or for the Red Wings retaining 50% of his salary, because the Red Wings got David Savard. Dennis Savard is legendary player, but so the Lightning also acquired an AHL player from the Red Wings. So this was basically mostly a cap swap thing. The Lightning also ended up giving up their fourth to the Red Wings, but the Blue Jackets are the real winner here. They end up getting a Tampa Bay's first-round pick this year and their third-rounder in 2022. It'll be very interesting to see what happens, but it'll be very interesting to say the least. There was a bit of an interesting. I mean, there's a couple of depth moves, nothing really special. The day before the draft, though, the Columbus Blue Jackets, who, by the way, the last 2 years gave draft picks in order to basically try to keep the contending window, they ended up doing it. They ended up restocking the draft pick pool greatly in another three-team trade. They sent Nick Foligno, one of their better forwards, over to the San Jose Sharks, who retained 50% of his salary. And then the Sharks then immediately send him, Nick Foligno, and one of their AHL players over to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Toronto then sends this year's fourth-round pick to the Sharks in compensation, but sends the first-round pick of 2021 and the fourth-round pick of 2022 to the Columbus Blue Jackets. So the Jackets have at least 2 first-round picks this year. Actually, they'll have 3 first-round picks this year, which, I mean, they're missing their second-rounder, but considering that they'll have at least a handful of picks to play with, and considering they'll have a couple of RFAs and UFAs heading into the season, it's not a bad thing to have that extra draft pick capital to play with. It'll be very interesting to see what they do with it as we continue the game. I keep forgetting that. The Canadian teams also did a little bit more trading when the Calgary Flames acquired a third-round pick for 2022 from the Maple Leafs for backup goaltender David Riddick. And I got to admit, David Riddick in a Leafs uniform, it'll be very interesting because Riddick is one of those guys who is either really on or he's really off in terms of his goaltending skill. It'll take a lot of... It might be one of those interesting scenarios where it's damned if you do, damned if you don't, because it doesn't look like Toronto's getting Frederik Andersen back anytime soon, and if Jack Campbell gets injured, they're screwed. And David Riddick's not a bad goaltender. He's just not what I would call the goaltender that I would want in the net to man the goal. Now, the Calgary Flames have underperformed drastically despite their talent levels, so the idea that they are automatically downgrading because the team that David Riddick was playing on was crappy. Of course that's not the case. I mean, the Buffalo Sabres have some amazing talent on their team, but for whatever reason they just suck, and they're the worst team in hockey by a mile this year. So, I mean, the fact that you have good talent but you just can't get the job done doesn't necessarily mean anything. The Boston Bruins, they made moves to actually shore up their depth, which is sorely needed. They got Mike Riley from the Ottawa Senators for a third-round pick in 2022. The big trade that opened the day on the trade deadline was Jeff Carter, one of the faces of the Los Angeles Kings franchise, going to the Pittsburgh Penguins at a 50% salary retention rate for a conditional third-round pick in 2022 and a 2023 conditional fourth-round pick. The conditions for the third-round pick upgrade to a second-round pick if the Penguins make the Cup final this year and Carter plays in at least 50% of the games. The fourth-rounder upgrades to a third if he plays at least 50 during the... This is because Carter has an additional year on his contract, so he's not going to become a free agent unlike a lot of the other traded assets in this particular trade deadline class who are either on deal or expiring deals. The other big move that was made by the Boston Bruins, they got Taylor Hall. The Boston Bruins have been struggling and sputtering, but they managed to secure Taylor Hall as forward depth, which is probably sorely needed because they have just one good, consistent line, and that's about it. The Bruins also acquired depth. I can tell Curtis Liz from the Sabres. Yes, Taylor Hall was playing on the Buffaloes. I know, very shocking. He was pretty invisible this year. I mean, and the Sabres acquired Anders Bjork and the and the second round pick in the 2021 draft from the Boston Bruins. It's an interesting move. I mean, I feel bad for Anders Bjork. I also feel bad for Taylor Hall because the guy's the former number 1 overall pick, and in 11 years, he's been known for winning draft lotteries more than he's been known for winning games. I mean, not been a good year for him. He's got just 2 goals and 17 assists. By the way, those 17 assists, they match what he did in Arizona in 35 games last year. He also has a minus 21 plus minus rating. So, yeah, not looking good. All needs to up and hope that he can get something going. It's amazing to think that the Boston or that the Buffalo Sabres actually tried to get a first-round pick for him, and ordinarily that would be what you would get for Taylor Hall, but Taylor Hall was not playing like that this season. So it's very obvious that they tried to, do something with that. And I mean, hey, a second-round pick, even from a potential cup contender like Boston's, is nothing to sneeze at. You can definitely flip it for something bigger if you threw another one of your players in, but the fire sale continues for Buffalo, and unfortunately, the fans are probably just they're probably just hoping for winning at this point. They really don't care who stays and who goes, because really the only person who should stay on the team is Jack Eichel, and he's freaking hurt right now. So the fact that they can't keep him healthy is probably a bigger concern than anything else. The Edmonton Oilers acquire some depth on defense in Dimitri Kulikov, who was doing absolutely nothing in New Jersey, for a conditional 4th-round pick next year. I think it upgrades to a 3rd-round pick if the Oilers win a playoff round. I like Kulikov. He was okay in Florida. He was okay in Buffalo. He's bounced around. He was okay in Winnipeg. Didn't do a whole lot. Was more of a third pairing grit guy, but I don't think it was terrible. Hey, Carl Soderberg is coming back home to Colorado. Oh my gosh, thank you for the follow and the donation, sir, Mr. Fun Phase 214. That's incredible. But yeah, Carl Soderberg comes back to the Avalanche for 2 AHL players, Ryder Ralston and Josh Dickinson. Meh. I mean, again, the Colorado Avalanche could definitely use depth heading into the Stanley Cup playoffs as they get ready for a big run. It'll be very, very interesting to see where they go from here, because they really do have probably the most loaded roster in the NHL, or close to it. Calgary Flames and the Florida Panthers make moves. The Panthers acquiring Sam Bennett from the Flames and a 6th-round pick in 2022. Meanwhile, the Flames get from the Panthers Emil Heineman, an AHL player, signing rights, and a 2022 2nd-round pick from the Florida Panthers. I like the deal. I think Sam Bennett benefits from a change of scenery a lot. The Panthers need a lot of depth, especially with Bakarov and with both Bakarov and Ekblad both suffering major injuries. You never know what's going to happen, so you need proven depth, you need quality depth, and I think that gets the job done in a lot of ways. So it'll be interesting to see what both teams do from here. There was another 3-team trade. The Blackhawks, or the Vegas Golden Knights, and the Sharks and the the Blackhawks, the Sharks, and the Golden Knights, I can talk, did a deal. Matthias Janmark was sent from Chicago to San Jose, who's then sent to Vegas. Vegas also acquired Nick DeSimone from the Sharks in the deal, and from Chicago, a 2022 5th-round pick. The Sharks ultimately end up getting a 5th-round pick from Buffalo that the Vegas Golden Knights had in 2022. The Blackhawks are the real big winner in this deal, as they not only save the money that they by trading their original player, but Vegas also gives them their 2021 2nd-round pick and their 2022 3rd-round pick, no conditions attached. So that's definitely a very, very good thing to see. Oh, hey, War Mike. How's it going? Just chilling and talking about some of the bigger moves in the trade deadline. I'm actually not playing the game. The AI is. Despite my team being mostly built for grit and tenacity as opposed to actual like scoring. Let's see here. Not actually that many trades to run down here left. My favorite team, Worm, is the Winnipeg Jets. I'm from Wisconsin, so the Milwaukee Admirals are the closest thing we have to a local team here, but they're AHL. They could have been NHL at one point. That's a whole nother story for a whole nother time that I'm sure other hockey fans are aware of. But so when you don't have a team in your city, most people adopt a team, and I don't know why I adopted the Winnipeg Jets. I just did. Maybe I like the old teams with like Timo Solani and stuff and all that jazz. Preds fan. Yeah, I like the Preds too. It's kind of easy to get behind the Predators too because, like I said, with the Admirals being a team here in the state, they actually feed into the Preds, at least they usually do. Not this year because of the COVID and stuff, but it is still pretty cool to see, the next level of NHL people potentially come through Milwaukee usually, and they've had their fair share of guys. I mean, people like Pekka Rinne and Alexander Radulov and company. They've all played some time here in Milwaukee, and some guys currently right now on the Predators roster have made some big marks down there. So it'll be interesting to see what the Predators do in this offseason because they didn't do anything at the deadline, which they really couldn't because they were stuck with a lot of bad contracts, and they have a lot of talent, but they're also suffering from bad coaching and a bad power play scheme that has been consistently awful. You got Eric Gabranson. Sees an angry Pens fans, or sends an angry Pens fans not. He's good at punching people out. I mean, I completely forgot. I actually hadn't reached that transaction yet. Speaking of other transactions, this one surprised the heck out of me because I thought they were actually going to stick with some aspects of this, but considering what they got for him, I actually don't blame the Red Wings and Stevie Yzerman for doing this. The Capitals get Anthony Mantha for Richard Panik, I hope I pronounced that correctly, Washington's 2021 first-round pick this year, and their 2022 first-round pick or second-round pick. Holy mackerel! I mean, and they saved $675,000 total in the transaction. Yeah, holy mackerel! Yzerman, I mean, you could say what he did about what he did to the Lightning and how they couldn't get over the hump when he was the GM, but he definitely knows his stuff when it comes to transactions. And I'll say this, if there's one league that can turn former players into actually decent executives, it seems to be the NHL. I mean, you got Joe Sakic and, obviously Yzerman. I mean, there's probably a couple of other glaring examples that I'm definitely neglecting. Toronto Maple Leafs seem to be all in on depth and all out on draft picks because they got Ben Hutton from the Anaheim Ducks. I mean, woohoo, big deal for a fifth-round pick in 2022. Eric Gustafsson for the Canadiens. So the Canadiens got Stahl, I believe it was Eric Stahl, if I'm not remembering correctly, from the Sabres fire sale, and now they get Gustafsson from the Flyers for a seventh-round pick that's not even the Canadiens. It's the St. Louis Blues 2022 seventh-round pick. Oy. That's a bit for a guy that costs $1.5 million. I mean, that's never a good thing. Then again, I suppose the money is being saved by the Flyers, not the Canadiens. So What's wrong with the Capitals? I don't know. I think they want to make the most of Ovi's window, and they realize that while Tom Wilson's a tough guy, he's not exactly the kind of guy that you rely on to score all the goals. And if, Kuznetsov and Oshie, who have been a bit banged up this year, aren't in the playoffs at 100%, you gotta do something. At least Mantha, he's 26, and I can definitely see why they chose him. And here's the other thing. He's already got all of his signing bonuses paid off this year, so they're basically just paying Mantha's base salary this year, this year and in the future. His base salary does go up a little bit as time goes on, but his cap hit does not. And he signed up until 2023-2024, so it may be a really risky gamble, but I can see why they did what they did. You actually get a player that's got some youth and who's got some actual intangibles. He just hasn't been on a good team. Let's see here. The Carolina Hurricanes acquiring Yanni Hanakpa, I believe I pronounced that correctly, and a 6th-round pick in 2022 from the Anaheim Ducks for Hayden Fleury. I actually like the move a lot better for the Hurricanes than I do the Ducks because Hanakpa is actually probably one of the more physical defensemen in the NHL right now. He's he's only behind Radka Gudas and who the heck else? I was just reading about this earlier today. There's only one other person in the NHL aside from Radko Gudas who has got more hits in the NHL than him right now. It's driving me crazy. I know the name too. But I like that move, especially because Carolina plays in a very physical and a tough division, and you've already got a lot of guys who, especially the Capitals, if you're going to run into them in the conference finals, or if you're going to run into, the Islanders, you're going to need some toughness to counteract them. You mentioned it earlier, Worm, the Predators acquiring Erik Gudbranson from the Ottawa Senators and his $4 million cap hit for Brandon Fortunato and a 2023 7th-round pick. The Senators, Eugene Melnick pretty happy because, he saves money because he's a greedy you-know-what, but I don't know. Gudbranson's an enigma to me because the guy was the 3rd overall pick in 2010. So he's not exactly, oh my God, the AI has actually managed to come back in this game and I've done nothing. It is glorious. My team in the franchise mode, I built it to suck. I built it to be mostly guys that would do body checks and be gritty, or guys with high-end potential, or older guys. A combination of old and young guys. That's what I built this team for. Guys with low floors and some with high ceilings. That's kind of what I built this team for, and it's actually doing well. But yeah, I don't know. I think the fact that Gudbranson played a lot of time with the Panthers, that probably is what's ended up making him look a lot less credible. He was okay. For a defenseman, his plus-minus rating is pretty atrocious, but he was actually pretty good for the Anaheim Ducks last year in the games that he played for them, so I don't know who looks better or worse. He doesn't have really any playoff experience, so that will be something to definitely test. But if the Predators could somehow make the playoffs, because they're not out of the playoff hunt entirely, but it's going to be a long shot. There's only 2 more trades left, and that is the Flyers acquiring a 5th-round pick that was originally... I have no idea what the heck that was. That was originally Vegas's in 2021 for the Capitals getting Michael Raffl. I believe that's how it's pronounced. He's a depth forward. Probably nothing too special. It'll be interesting to see what he does in there. And, yeah, Dimitri Kulikov, he's one of those guys that I think Kulikov is... he's kind of, honestly, very similar to Dylan DeMello, which is kind of why I'm surprised that Kulikov or Nathan Beaulieu down in Winnipeg, which is kind of funny that Beaulieu's out, basically, which is why the last big trade before the trade deadline was the Jets getting Jordy Ben from the Canucks for a 6th-round pick in 2021. I don't know about Jordy Ben. It could be a good thing. It might not be. Oh, my God, this game went to a tie when I wasn't looking. Oh, my good Lord, the AI. Well, the good news is that it's a power play situation. Ooh, it's 5-on-3, too. You can tell I haven't been paying, or 4-on-3. I haven't been paying attention to this game, admittedly, but I have been paying more attention to the to doing the trade stuff here on my computer. Yeah, you mentioned Staubach from the Wild. Yeah, I mean, considering what's happening with Pekka Rinne this season, it's not a terrible move. It's the guy is obviously not Jussi Saros. Yeah, Jussi Saros might not be the guy for the Predators going forward. It'll be very interesting to see. I lost. Oh, no, I didn't lose. Haha! Thank you, power play. Oh, yeah, Stalic's the Oilers. Yeah, my bad. Well, I mean, considering considering Mike Smith is, you know, I don't even know how old he is or how long he's going to keep going. And, I mean, the funny thing is, with the exception of, like, Winnipeg, all of these teams seem to be rolling with 3 starting caliber goalies, which is, I find kind of hilarious. Either they can't figure out who's going to start, or they just don't know who they want for the future. Yeah, Mike Smith is 39. Yeah, I don't know how much tread that guy has left on the tires. I mean, the fact that he's even still in the league surprises me, because Roberto Luongo was like 39 when he was really starting to decline, and he was actually good for most of his career. Mike Smith, not so much. All right. Let's see. We simulate. So, yeah, just, you know, kind of playing franchise mode. Not really too concerned with the expansion franchise here. I don't really know, by the way, going back to your comment on the Edmonton Oilers, I don't know if they need a rebuild. I think what they really need is more depth. I don't know if that requires a rebuild. I think it requires you to actually have, you know, potential, like, aside from, you know, McDavid, Draisaitl, and Nugent Hopkins. I mean, who else do you have? You have Kyler Yamamoto, Jesse Puljujarvi, maybe. I mean, Flames, I think Flames should have blown it up a little bit. Yeah, they got rid of Sam Bennett, but I think they probably should have went all in, and they should have tried to get rid of Gaudreau and Monahan instead. I'm not saying that you keep Sam Bennett if you could get a good deal for him, and they got a relatively decent one for him from from Florida, but I think that for what they gave up, the Flames, I mean, I don't know. Riddick. See, the thing is, I don't think that they have any. Now they have no starting goaltending. The Flames, even though Riddick was far from what I would consider a starting goaltender. I know they have Cam Talbot back there still, if I'm not mistaken, and from the perspective of the Flames, or from the Leafs, it's very interesting because I was talking about earlier how you technically have 3 starting caliber goaltenders, and you have and you also happen to have Michael Hutchinson. But I mean, really, oh yeah, that's right. The Flames, they don't have Cam Talbot. Yeah, they've got 1 goalie on the roster right now, so they're probably gonna have to call up Louis Domingue. Ugh, that's from the taxi squad, so that they have a backup. That's yeah, that's not good. I mean, yeah, Jacob Markstrom played incredibly well last year in Vancouver, but the fact that he's your only goalie right now, yeah, Talbot's in the Minnesota Wild. If I'm forgetting some of these transactions, it's only because it's the league has kind of moved a little fast this year, even with everything that's happened COVID-wise, and there was a lot of shuffling in the offseason this past year, especially at the goaltending position. Yeah, they got Louis Domingue. They're screwed. If they wanted to make the playoffs, they blew their only shot. Like I said, they should have traded Monahan and Johnny Gaudreau if they were looking for a rebuild to overhaul, but I don't think that that's what they're doing. I think that they're pretty stubbornly confident that for some reason this core can actually get it done, and they simply cannot. I mean, it's incredibly bizarre how little they've done with that talent. It'll be very interesting, though. I mean, they're obviously not out of the playoff hunt. I actually should probably check the standings again, because right now it's very interesting. Let's see here. Yeah. Well, Predators actually are in the hunt. I say in the hunt like they would have to do a lot of work, but they're still there. Yeah, the Flames are basically done. They are on a losing skid, and even the Canadiens, who had to fire their coach, are doing so much better than them right now. Yeah, Markstrom and Riddick were probably the same in net, and, well, you signed him to a 6x6, so you better hope that he can do the job, because otherwise, you paid a guy who's 31, who, like I said, he had a good year last year, and he had okay numbers in the previous years, but it wasn't until last year that he really shined. And I think that was, it's kind of ironic that the Calgary Flames actually were the ones who played themselves in regards to a free agent from Vancouver, as opposed to a free agent from Vancouver playing or from Calgary playing Vancouver. I just find that a bit funny. Yeah, they should have gotten rid of. They probably should have offered Monahan or Gaudreau, especially Gaudreau, because he's getting up there. And I shouldn't say he's getting up there in age. I should say he's up there for trades. Or for like a contract. Damn, I can talk. So yeah, I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see how this season finishes. I do feel bad for the Vancouver Canucks. I'm not saying they would have made the playoffs, but that COVID outbreak was a fucking bitch to them, and that I apologize for the language, but yeah, it was very screwy for them, and it didn't deserve to have that happen to them, so for sure. But yeah, it was a pretty underwhelming trade deadline. A lot of the stuff was actually made the day before, which I'm personally okay with, because, I mean, yeah, there were a lot of teams that made moves, and some of these moves, I think they'll actually will benefit these teams. So it'll, in that regard, the trade deadline did what it's supposed to. I have no idea what the heck the Maple Leafs were doing, though. I mean, they seemed like they were just making moves for the sake of making moves to get depth, even though they were supposed to have had depth, and also restocking their AHL roster, seemingly. But, I don't know. We will definitely see. Columbus also probably was a big winner in this trade deadline by getting their pick pool back, and Sabres basically just by getting rid of people, they won on their own in their own way, because they needed to try to get anything from this season, and picks is one of the few things that you can get. So for them, although they definitely sold low on a lot of players like Eric Stahl and Montour, so that was it'll be very interesting to see how this season ends. I know I've said that a couple of times now. I'm repeating myself. Blah. Yeah, the Canucks do have pretty good goalies. The problem with them is that they got to get back out on the ice with COVID. And I also think that Demko has been asked to do just a little bit too much too quickly. I mean, I'm not saying that he's not capable of it, but Braden Holtby hasn't helped him out either. So it'll be very interesting to see where they go in the future, because of all of the talent that they do have, especially on the goaling end. If they didn't have guys like Jay Beagle and Anton Roussel anchored to bad free agent contracts, they probably would be much better off. Like, if they had kept Tyler Toffoli instead, they probably would be, at least in the playoff mix right now, but they're not. So, I mean, and then, of course, Jake Virtanen getting injured doesn't help them either. So, yeah, I mean, if you want my honest prediction of who I think is going to be in the Stanley Cup as of right now, I'm honestly not entirely sure. I would have to say that my picks for frontrunners are probably the Hurricanes. I know how crazy that sounds. I would have said the Islanders had Anders Lee not been lost for the season. Now I probably actually am leaning more towards the Capitals from the East Division. If I had a pick in the West Division, it'd be easily the Avalanche. And if the Maple Leafs win, actually get past the first round, I'd say they actually have a pretty good chance of making the Cup this year. But I think that the Jets do have a much better core, and if the Oilers actually get some production from their depth, I do think that them in the North Division could also be a possibility. So, I mean, it's still anybody's ball game. I mean, you've got at least 3 or 4 teams in each division that look like they're at least certified for the playoffs, if not close to the playoffs. So it'll be very interesting to see with the remaining wild card spots where the other teams line up. Like, I think the Predators can take a wild card spot. The Rangers might make the playoffs. I'm going to laugh if they the Rangers might make the playoffs too, based on points alone, unless it's by division. I mean, if it's by division, then yeah, the Predators are going to take one spot, but the Rangers and the Flyers both are going to be dogfighting each other pretty much for that final spot, and that is such a lame hit. Like, NHL Hits 2003 laughs at that hit. Like, oh god, that is such a good game. Talk about a game that a hockey game that needs to be remastered. NHL Hits, bring that back. That was awesome. It's like NFL Blitz but hockey. Awesome.
Oh, the defensive player just can't hold this draw this cleanly. James, he loses it. It goes right to the shooter. It's in the net before anyone can move.
I'll tell you what, I am surprised by the Wild and the Blues, though, because I did not think that they would be okay at the beginning of the season. The Blues have just been snake bit, but that's kind of been their MO. But the Wild, I mean, I did not think that they were going to be any good at all, and I mean, Kaprizov has really turned that team around. And it's amazing to think that everybody thought that Parise and Suter were going to be just dead weight albatrosses with the team having no future going forward, but that's pretty much the direct opposite of what happened. Now they're kind of the influencers that are required to get them over the hump. The Panthers claimed, I believe, Nikita Gusev off of waivers and signed him. Well, that actually might actually give them a big old boost that they didn't have this year too. If he can actually start playing, I didn't see that too because I'm looking at free agent signings right now. Yeah, Nikita Gusev signed the day before the deadline. Interesting. That is very interesting. And then, I'm trying to think here, who else got re-signed before the deadline? Oh yeah, Tanner Pearson got re-signed by the Canucks. That's a good get for them. Return get for them. Yeah, not really a whole lot of noise though left to be made now. I mean, it's just going to be waiver claims from here on out, and it'll be very, very interesting to see where that goes.
It's been a pretty tight game, not much on either side, but they've got the lead now. Puck is dropped and we are
So I am just going to let this game finish out, and then I think I might actually end up calling it a stream because I am a little tired and I just wanted to spend most of this time going over the trade deadline and stuff, and just kind of going over where I think everybody's going to be at. Probably planning on doing another Chel and Chill stream when I'm not so tired in the near future, where I'm actually going to use Cap Friendly's algorithm or program to pick, in my opinion, who I would pick for the Seattle Kraken using their expansion tool. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. So yeah. Yeah, I will agree with you. I thought that the Blues were riding a lot of good luck, and I thought that the only reason they made the Cup Finals was because they were playing the San Jose Sharks in the Conference Finals. If they played Vegas in the Conference Finals, they would have gotten smeared. And I thought that the Bruins were like, okay, this is their all-in year. They're going to get the job done. I thought St. Louis was going to keep it competitive, but I actually had the Bruins winning it in 7 games. I didn't want them to win in 7 games because I do not like the Bruins, but I think that it was quite clear that when it came to Zdeno Chara's injury, that he was hurt worse than anybody thought he would be, and that was kind of a major turning point. And then the rest of the team kind of just bounced back from that. Definitely very impressive. I will say this, Ryan O'Reilly definitely changed a lot of things in St. Louis, and in a lot of good ways. So, yeah, I hate trying to predict the playoffs too. I was actually pretty good though last year. I had the conference. I had my Stanley Cup prediction teams made it to the conference finals, so I got that much right. I had the Islanders and the Avalanche in the Stanley Cup finals, and I got half of it right. I just didn't pick the teams that would ultimately go to the finals. So in the bubble. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I think that this year, though, either the Hurricanes get it done, or a Canadian team wins it. I mean, this year's been plenty bizarre in terms of hockey as is. So, yeah, the Bears were just unlucky that Bennington was very good. Yeah, you got that right. And yeah, I don't know. I think Bennington was either just a one-hit wonder or he's lost something that he hasn't gotten back yet, because since that cup run, he has not been the same goalie. And now that he doesn't have Jake Allen or Carter Hutton to insulate, I mean, it's very, very hard to watch him play right now, knowing how good he was in that cup run and where he is now. And the Blues saw fit to reward that with, oh God, what did he get? He got a contract extension. He is now signed. Yeah, he's now signed to a 6-year deal, a 6-year extension on his current deal. And he was going to be a free agent, but the fact that he got signed to a 6x6 with the numbers he's had this year, it's not very good, or it's not looking very good. I mean, he's doing okay goals against, and his saves percentage is okay, but I mean, considering where he was in 2018, 2019, even in 30 games or 32 games, and even in the playoffs, yeah, his numbers jumped up a bit, but he was not good in the playoffs last year, and this year has not been a very good indication that it's going to get better before it gets worse. And again, the Blues are one of those teams where, yeah, they got Ville Hossa. That's who their backup goaltender is. I think that's probably the one thing that's worth, thinking is, like, a lot of these teams don't have good backup goaltenders, or they have backup goaltenders that are hurt. I mean, that's why I like Winnipeg, because, Francois, who has had his moments of glory, is actually a decent complement to Hellebuck when healthy. And then you got the Leafs. All their goaltenders are solid. I mean, there's plenty of guys on the playoff contending teams that have some solid overall play from their netminders. And it comes from multiple fronts, even in a pandemic-shortened season. Yeah, that's very important, so... Oh, yeah, it'll be interesting. And that's also why I like the Hurricanes, because, I mean, the fact that they didn't trade Mrazek, like, I thought they were going to trade Peter Mrazek once he got back and healthy, or they're going to trade Reimer, because Nevechnikov looks legit, so I was like, you don't need 3 goalies, even in a pandemic-shortened season, so I thought they were going to trade one of them to get some value back, especially considering, again, thank you, Cap Friendly, for reminding me of contract situations. I mean, all 3 of them are actually going to be free agents, and so I don't know why you wouldn't try to trade Reimer or Mrazek if you weren't, in fact, going to try and, maybe let them get picked up by Seattle? Yeah, the Senators. The Senators are a Canadian team that I would like to see as champion. That 2017, that Game 7 in the West Finals, that goal in the second overtime, that was to the Pens. That was a heartbreaker. I was pulling for them so damn hard. And to think of what happened to them, Erik Karlsson leaving, Mike Hoffman leaving, Matt Duchene, I knew he wasn't going to stay, but he left. Ryan Dzingel, he left, and now he's back. I'm not sure how happy he is to be back in Ottawa, but he's there. Craig Anderson, basically, they basically gutted the entire team after that failure, and that's just more sad in more ways than one. But the Senators, I mean, it's pretty obvious who you can blame. Blame Melnyk. Eugene Melnick, their owner, he wanted to get greedy, and he's just greedy, and he's selfish, and he's one of the worst owners. And yeah, Bobby Ryan. I mean, yeah, basically, I think at one point, Frederick Anderson was one of only 2 or 3 players last year from that Ottawa 2017 Cup run. I think there was like 2 or 3 guys left from that finals push. So yeah, it was crazy. I mean, geez, the fact that Matt Murray is one of the 3 highest played players on the Senators. I mean, that's just amazing to me. And I mean, actually, to think that one of their Melnick's horrible. Easily, if he's not the worst owner in the NHL, he probably is. But if he's not the worst owner in the NHL, he's definitely one of the top 5 worst owners in sports. I mean, just the fact that you would even try to strong-arm your city. I know Edmonton and Calgary have done it for like new stadiums and stuff too, and to try and make more money. But the fact that you would try to do it to the point where you're threatening to move the team, like at any point in time, for a team that, yeah, they aren't exactly, the best merch sellers or anything like that, but they're a Canadian staple. Just the fact that has even been considered, just makes me weep. But yeah, I mean, some of the highest retained, or I should say the highest retained. I mean, before this season, one of their highest played players wasn't even on the team or wasn't even on the ice at all. Marion Gaborek. I don't even know if Marion Gaborek's going to ever play another NHL game, which is just sad because I was a big fan of his back in the early 2000s, especially with the Minnesota Wild. But, I mean, the fact that, that was essentially one of their highest paid players before they shipped him off in a salary dump earlier this season. I mean, I don't know. Ottawa, like they skate on the cap floor, and now they've gotten a little bit. They were a little bit better with some spending this offseason, but I mean, Cap Friendly still has them with the 3rd most cap space projected. Only the Devils and the Kings have more projected cap space. And actually, and that actually goes for current cap space too. They technically speaking, now they do have some club cap space reductions due to a performance bonus, but like really that's kind of it. I mean, it's kind of amazing to think that a team in Canada can get away with paying for so little for a really kind of subpar product.
Under a minute to play in this dandy. Wrestling in close off the stick. And manages to clear the zone.
And there goes my team's chances.
Play the puck from behind takes the pass from the left wing. From the slot, just swat. In need of a goal, the extra attacker's out on the ice.
Extra goal on a power play, huh? Behold, my version of gritty.
The face-off becomes critical.
Wisconsin's had more shots on goal, but yet they've run into a hot goalie. They trail late in this 3rd period. And that's broken up. Comes up with the stop.
Oh.
Working to shake the pressure from the defensive zone. Big win for the short-handed unit as they clear the puck from the zone.
No one's going to keep it in the zone.
Yeah, it was a stupid decision by the Preds. Laviolette had to go, but they picked the worst possible replacement. I mean, I don't even know who you honestly would have got though on the market at the point of time when they fired him. I mean, was Peter DeBoer? I mean, if Peter DeBoer was still on the market, I mean, that would have been an okay hire. But I think Peter DeBoer was actually fired by that point. I know Mike Babcock was, but I think that would have probably cost too much money. I mean, you could have brought in Bruce Boudreau. I mean, I'm actually kind of surprised he's still on the unemployment market, despite the fact that he's a choke artist extraordinaire. I mean, but yeah, they really just, I mean, the Predators, if they want to do anything, they need to improve their power play and their penalty kill, because it's one of the worst in the game right now, and it's amazing to think that that's even the case. But the Predators, I mean, you know, they keep on winning. Jets and Senators tied at 2. Leafs and the Canadiens tied at 2 in the second period, and the Blue Jackets up on the Blackhawks 2-1 all in the second period of games playing right now. And scoreless are the Red Wings and the Hurricanes. Those are all the games currently active right now. And the Avs got the Avalanche, and the Golden Knights have the Kings, and the Ducks play the Sharks. So those are the games tonight. That'll be interesting. Alright, I'm going to see if I can... Speaking of trades, I'm going to try and see if I can trade someone from my franchise team here. Not really interested in trying to acquire a super elite player when it comes to this trade. I'm trying to simply get players here. But yeah, I'll do one of these trades and then I'll probably end up calling it a stream. Yeah, and of course my team loses morale because I traded away one of my players. Oh well. Oh, I see. So is he in the AHL? No, he's not. Alright. I do think I'm going to try and trade one more thing here. Yeah, I like the cat-friendly site too. It's very easy to understand and just basically take care of business in terms of looking for things. It's a breath of fresh air for sure. That's right, I loaded up on first round picks. Yeah, you can create and draft your own team. I love it. In fact, the next time I do an NHL and Chel stream worm, which will probably be sometime next week, if you follow the channel, you'll actually be able to know when I stream next. But it'll probably be around the same time. Maybe not the same day. Might not be a Monday, but sometime next week, I am going to have this running in the background, NHL 20, while I draft, now that the trade deadline's passed, my predictions, or who I would, my predictions / who I think the Seattle Kraken should take for their expansion team, now that we have probably the second most important part of the process in the form of the trade deadline complete. So I'm looking forward to doing that a heck of a lot. That'll be fun I think that'll be fun the next time I stream this game. Alright, glad I did that trade. Get some, draft picks. Get rid of some draft picks and stuff. But alright, I think that is gonna do it for this stream. I do not really have anything else that I really have to say. I mean, that is gonna do it. So yeah, thank you for the follow, Worm, and hope you have a good rest of your evening. And to anybody else who watched or viewed this stream tonight, I hope you guys enjoyed listening to me ramble. I'll definitely do it again some more. Hopefully, not sometime, sometime soon in the near future. But until then, I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you, and good night.